Picture yourself settling into bed tonight, shutting your eyes just as you have done thousands of times before, and simply never waking up again. No struggle, no remembered pain, just complete and permanent silence. This takes place far more frequently than most people ever realize. Each year, hundreds of thousands of adults over the age of 50 experience heart attacks and strokes while they are completely asleep. And here is the most unsettling part. For the overwhelming majority of them, the cause was not some uncommon disease, misfortune, or genetics alone. It was actually something they were doing every single night, genuinely believing it was perfectly safe. Over the next several minutes, I am going to uncover the nighttime habits that silently transform sleep into the most hazardous period of the day for your heart and your brain. More importantly, I will show you precisely what you can change beginning tonight to keep yourself protected. What you are about to hear is not speculation. It is not designed to alarm you unnecessarily. It is medical reality. My name is Dr. Stanley Brown, and I have devoted my professional life to studying the cardiovascular health of people over 50. If that describes you, this message could genuinely save your life. Now truly consider what occurs the moment you switch off the lights and your home falls completely quiet. Most people assume that during sleep the body simply powers down to recover. We imagine it like pulling a car into the garage and cutting the engine. But the reality is that for your cardiovascular system, sleep is actually the most demanding and critical window of the entire day. It is anything but a shutdown. This is the period when your heart is meant to decelerate, your blood pressure is meant to fall, and your brain is meant to eliminate the accumulated waste and metabolic toxins that built up throughout your waking hours. This is when your cells renew themselves and your blood vessels mend the damage inflicted by daily stress. We refer to this window as the dipping phase, and it represents the sole opportunity your heart has to genuinely recuperate from the relentless demands of being alive. Consider your heart as a pump that has operated continuously for 60, 70, or 80 years without a single moment of genuine rest. No days off, no holidays. Sleep is the only reprieve it receives throughout the entire day. Yet, for millions of adults over 60, this recovery never materializes. Rather than resting, their hearts are compelled to accelerate. Rather than blood pressure declining, it surges to hazardous levels the body was never engineered to sustain in a horizontal position. When you are upright, gravity assists in moving blood through your body, but lying flat forces your heart to completely restructure its entire approach. And the most alarming reality is that you are entirely unconscious throughout all of this. You have no awareness that your body is in a state of physiological crisis until the damage is already done. You are essentially battling for survival while attempting to dream. The first habit responsible for triggering this midnight emergency is something nearly every person does and considers a completely routine part of a relaxing evening: consuming a heavy meal late at night. And this is not exclusively about junk food or fast food. Even a wholesome, substantial dinner, perhaps steak, potatoes, and a salad at 8 or 9 in the evening, can be genuinely harmful for someone over 50. You may believe you are simply nourishing your body, but you are actually working against your internal biological clock. Here is the straightforward science behind it. Your body holds approximately 5 liters of blood in total. When you consume a large meal, your digestive system instantly becomes the body's highest priority. Your stomach and intestines demand an enormous share of that blood supply to manage the complex process of breaking down and absorbing food. This consumes a tremendous amount of energy. But simultaneously, when you lie down, your heart is attempting to shift into its low-power recovery mode. Late eating forces your heart into a direct blood flow conflict. Your stomach draws circulation one direction to handle digestion, while your heart strains to maintain adequate blood flow upward to your brain and essential organs. When your digestive system is laboring away at 2 in the morning, your heart rate never descends to its resting level. Blood pressure remains elevated because your body still believes it is in active, working mode. In medicine, we describe these individuals as non-dippers. When blood pressure fails to fall overnight, your risk of suffering a stroke in the early morning hours climbs by more than 400%. It stands as the single most reliable predictor of a cardiovascular event in older adults. Consider a patient, a 68-year-old man who was otherwise in good health. He did not smoke and walked his dog every single day. But every night, without exception, he consumed a generous bowl of pasta with thick bread right before going to bed. He told me it created a satisfying heaviness that helped him drift off faster. What he never grasped was that while he slept, his heart was working at 90 beats per minute solely to process that meal. His arteries were under constant strain, and his brain was being deprived of the deep restorative sleep it required. One night, his heart simply could not sustain the battle any longer. He jolted awake, drenched in perspiration with a crushing sensation on his chest. He was fortunate. His wife heard him struggling, and he reached the hospital in time. Countless others never get that chance. To genuinely protect yourself, starting tonight, your final substantial meal must occur at least 3 to 4 hours before your head meets the pillow. Your heart requires permission to rest, and it cannot do that while it remains a servant to your digestive system. Late eating also triggers an insulin spike that suppresses the growth hormones essential for tissue repair, meaning your heart is simultaneously working harder and losing its capacity to heal its own wear and tear. There is another habit even more widespread, one people actually practice because they are convinced it is the sensible and healthy choice. Patients say to me constantly, "Dr. Stanley Brown, I cut off all liquids after 6 in the evening because I will not tolerate waking up multiple times to use the bathroom." That reasoning is completely understandable. Disrupted sleep is exhausting, raises fall risk in the darkness, and leaves you drained the following morning. But pay close attention to what unfolds inside your arteries when you climb into bed in a dehydrated condition. Your blood is predominantly water. When dehydration sets in, blood volume decreases while the solid components, cholesterol, platelets, calcium, and waste products, remain unchanged. The result is blood that becomes thick, sticky, and sluggish. Imagine forcing cold, dense maple syrup through a narrow plastic straw. That is the precise challenge your aging heart faces at 4 in the morning. Thickened blood generates increased friction against arterial walls, producing inflammation that accelerates plaque accumulation. Throughout the night, your body steadily loses moisture through every exhale and every trace of perspiration. Beginning the night already dehydrated means that by 3 in the morning, your blood has reached peak density. This is the prime window for clot formation. Sluggish platelets begin clustering together like damp, compacted sand. If one of those clusters lodges in a narrowed vessel serving your heart or brain, the consequences are catastrophic. This is precisely why strokes and heart attacks concentrate in the hours just before dawn. The answer is not consuming a large volume of water immediately before bed, as that creates its own disruptions. A modest 4-ounce glass of room-temperature water approximately 1 hour before lying down, paired with a quick bathroom stop, will not disturb your sleep anywhere near as severely as sluggish blood will threaten your heart. Think of it as preparing the pipework for a long overnight shift. Now let us address the silent danger many older adults brush aside as nothing more than ordinary snoring. If you wake up gasping, or if your partner reports that you appear to stop breathing momentarily before producing a sharp snorting sound, you are facing genuine risk. This is sleep apnea, and I want you to understand it as nighttime suffocation. Each time your airway collapses and breathing halts, oxygen levels in your blood plummet. Your brain, the most oxygen-dependent organ in the body, interprets this as a life-threatening emergency and unleashes a powerful adrenaline surge to shock your heart into action. Your heart rate can leap from a peaceful 60 beats per minute to 120 in a single instant. Blood pressure skyrockets to readings that would be alarming under any circumstances. This sequence can repeat 20, 30, even 50 times every hour. Night after night, this unrelenting assault gradually scars the heart muscle, causes its walls to thicken and stiffen, and ultimately produces atrial fibrillation, a condition where the heart abandons its coordinated rhythm and beats erratically rather than pumping with strength and purpose. Blood then pools in the chambers of the heart, forming dangerous clots that travel to the brain. That is how an ordinary snore silently becomes a devastating stroke. If you snore regularly or feel thoroughly exhausted despite a full night of sleep, you must address this with complete seriousness. It is not a minor nuisance. It is a cardiac emergency unfolding gradually every single night. Many people resist a CPAP device or sleep evaluation, considering it an excessive inconvenience. But ask yourself honestly, is wearing a device at night genuinely more burdensome than navigating life in a wheelchair following a stroke? Something as simple as shifting your sleeping position from your back to your side using a body pillow can sometimes open the airway sufficiently to make a life-saving difference. We must also examine something deeply personal for many viewers: the medication timing trap. This applies to anyone taking medication for blood pressure, cholesterol, or cardiac function. Many patients are remarkably consistent and never miss a single dose, yet they are swallowing their medication at entirely the wrong hour. Most people take blood pressure pills in the morning as part of their established routine. But for many adults over 60, the most dangerous blood pressure readings do not occur during a demanding workday. They surface during sleep, particularly within the REM phase when brain activity intensifies. Taking medication at 8 in the morning means its therapeutic effect may be substantially diminished during the most vulnerable window of all, between 2 and 5 in the morning. Significant medical research has established that for certain older adults, shifting blood pressure medication from morning to evening reduced fatal cardiac event risk by nearly 50%. You are not switching medications. You are not increasing costs. You are not introducing new side effects. You are simply adjusting when that pill enters your body. That single change repositions the drug's peak effectiveness to align with your most vulnerable biological moments. However, I want to be completely transparent. I am sharing educational information, not acting as your personal physician. Never alter your medication timing without first speaking with your own doctor. Certain drugs, including diuretics, must remain on a morning schedule, but initiate that conversation tomorrow. Ask whether your dosing time could be adjusted based on your blood pressure patterns and sleep habits. It may prove to be your most consequential health decision. Finally, let us talk about your sleeping environment, what I call the temperature trap. Many older adults gravitate toward warm, comfortable bedrooms. The thermostat goes to 75, heavy pajamas go on, and thick blankets get piled high. But warmth during sleep is genuinely problematic for your heart. Entering deep restorative sleep, the phase where your body actively repairs arterial walls and settles the nervous system, requires your core body temperature to decline by approximately 2 degrees. When the room is too warm, your body cannot release that internal heat through the skin. Your heart compensates by beating faster and circulating more blood toward the surface, attempting to function as a cooling mechanism. You are effectively keeping your heart on a treadmill for 8 straight hours while believing you are resting. The cardiovascular sweet spot for sleep temperature falls between 65 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That may feel cooler than you prefer, but it represents the precise biological zone where blood vessels relax, the nervous system transitions from alertness to restoration, and your heart rate settles at its lowest and healthiest level. An excessively cold room carries its own dangers as constricted blood vessels drive pressure upward. The goal is finding the right balance. If cold is a concern, place warm socks on your feet. Keeping extremities warm actually supports overall body cooling while the surrounding air remains refreshing. This temperature reduction also stimulates melatonin production, a powerful antioxidant that directly shields the heart muscle itself. So, how does all of this translate into a practical routine beginning tonight? Here is a straightforward heart-protective evening plan for your 60s and 70s that will serve as a genuine shield for your cardiovascular system while you sleep. First, establish a firm kitchen closing time of 7 in the evening. If bedtime falls at 10 or 11, that boundary is absolutely essential. No further heavy eating, no late visits to the refrigerator. Allow your stomach a 3-hour window so your heart is not engaged in a circulation conflict at midnight. If genuine hunger prevents sleep, a small piece of fruit or a handful of nuts kept under 100 calories is acceptable. Nothing heavier. Second, place a small glass of room temperature water on your nightstand. Consume a few ounces approximately 1 hour before lying down to maintain fluid, freely moving blood. Sip it gently rather than drinking it all at once. Third, examine your thermostat immediately. If it reads above 70 lower it to 68 degrees. Slip on warm socks if needed. Warming the feet supports overall body cooling while the room air stays crisp and refreshing. Fourth, and this is a life-preserving recommendation most people never receive. Practice the slow rise each morning. When you wake up, resist the impulse to leap out of bed immediately regardless of what demands your attention. Your body has spent hours in a low-pressure horizontal position. Blood has settled into your torso, and standing abruptly compels your heart to suddenly accelerate dramatically to push circulation upward to your brain. This morning's surge is when a disproportionate share of cardiovascular events occur. Instead, lower yourself to the edge of the mattress and remain seated for 1 to 2 full minutes. Rotate your ankles gently. Reach your arms overhead. Breathe slowly and deliberately and allow your blood pressure to normalize before rising fully. Give your heart the opportunity to transition alongside you. It is a remarkably simple habit that represents the difference between a safe morning and a dangerous pressure spike. Across decades of practice, I have witnessed both outcomes clearly. Patients who dismissed these subtle signals convinced they were perfectly healthy eventually arrived in emergency rooms. Those who absorbed these principles and made quiet, consistent changes reshaped their futures entirely. The distinction was never rooted in expensive procedures or extraordinary medications. It lived in these small, deliberate private choices made at home each evening. Your heart has beaten for you without interruption from the very first moment of your life. It has never requested a single day of rest. It has carried you through every hardship, every celebration, and every ordinary moment in between. The very least we can do as we grow older is provide it with a safe, cool, and peaceful environment to recover for 8 hours each night. Before closing this video, I have 3 brief requests. First, if this information genuinely expanded your understanding of your own body, please subscribe to this channel. Considerable time is invested in reviewing current medical research and clinical evidence to deliver you accurate, actionable guidance about aging that you can apply immediately. Second, tap the like button. It may feel insignificant, but it communicates to the platform that this content carries real value, and it extends this message to other older adults across the country who are unknowingly at risk tonight. Third, leave a comment below. Simply write, "I am protecting my heart tonight." Those words are not just a comment. They are a commitment to yourself, a declaration that your health and your future matter more than a late meal or an overly warm room. And if someone in your life, a partner, a sibling, a close friend, is over 60, please pass this video along to them. You may never fully appreciate it, but you could be the direct reason someone you love opens their eyes and greets tomorrow morning. I am Dr. Stanley Brown. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your trust. And thank you for valuing your own health. Take care of your heart tonight. Sleep well.